Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so and like this video. Now today in this video, what I want to talk about is what's happening in Lebanon. There's a bank crisis that's happening at the moment in Lebanon. So the Lebanese are frustrated because they are unable to withdraw their deposits from the banks. So Lebanon is hit by restrictions on withdrawals. Some are taking extreme steps, occupying branches, and in one case taking an employee hostage to squeeze what they can from their accounts. So what's happening in Lebanon is that Lebanon's financial crisis, there's a financial crisis and dollar shortage. So this dollar shortage have basically prompted banks to impose strict caps on withdrawing dollars and a block on most transfers abroad, leaving Lebanese, many of whom are paid in dollars, strapped for cash. So they put blocks on people being able to transfer money from their bank accounts, and they put strict caps on the amount of money that people can withdraw from their bank account. And this is basically leaving a lot of the people out there strapped for cash, not having enough money. So withdrawals caps set at a few $100s per week, some depositors have tried to strong arm their way to their cash. So this has led people to try to force their way in order to get their money back. And just think about that for a second, what's happening over there. Because of this crisis, they've trusted their money with the banks, remember? So that they have a trust with the banks to take care of their money, look after it, and give it to them when they need it. But because of this financial crisis, and who knows what the banks do with the money, how they play around with it, and how they use it to loan out and whatnot. Now there's a shortage of cash over there, so the banks are not able to give everyone access to their money because they want to control this shortage, this supply of dollars. They want to control the supply, and the demand of course is high because people want their money and they're going through turmoil and the economy is not doing too well. So people, obviously the first thing people want to do is reclaim their money, get their money out of the banks, and the banks don't have the money to give them. So they're putting these caps in place and they're preventing them from transferring their money also out of their banks, and this is causing people to be angry, peed off, and it's leading to violence. So Lebanon has seen 101 incidents at banks from November the 1st to January the 13th, ranging from scuffles and sit-ins to move violent assaults on bank branches, according to security sources. And it just talks about what one guy did when the bank refused to give him his cash. He basically returned with his company's forklift and 2 trucks and blocked its entrance, and the branch manager then cashed the check. So he did what he had to do to get his money. And this is what's happening in Lebanon at the moment. It's pretty insane when you think about it. Let's go to this next article. This next article by Al Jazeera. It says, what the banks is doing isn't legal, but it's necessary as Lebanon's banks tighten the restrictions. So Lebanon's banks further restrict the US dollar withdrawals as country's financial and economic crisis deepens. So Lebanon's banks further tightens the limits on foreign currency withdrawals on Monday, with at least one financial institution restricting depositors to a maximum withdrawal of $400 a month. So think about that. Imagine you are a wealthy Lebanese individual and you have millions of dollars in your bank account over there, and the bank is only telling you you only have access to $400 a month. That's insane. I mean, you cannot withdraw anything but $400 a month, and neither can you transfer your money out of your bank to abroad, and that's the situation you're stuck in. And this is what happens to people who put their trust in the banking system. Lebanon's not the first country, and it's not going to be the last country where banks have limited people's withdrawals. Banks have blocked people from transferring money. Banks have prevented people from opening accounts and have done all sorts to people using their services. And it's not going to be the last. And this is happening because the fiat currency monetary system is it's a sham, it's a scam, it's falling apart really gradually around the world, and is just falling apart from one country to another. It's a system that's based upon debt and uncontrolled, unsustainable debt that's never going to be serviced. And in order to manage the system, the banks does this in times of crisis, where they try to prevent you from getting your money when there's a run in the bank, because they don't have the money to really pay out, do they? And this is why people really need to consider putting their wealth into things that they have control of, that the banks don't have control over their wealth. And this could be, for instance, a situation in Lebanon would be Bitcoin. Let me put it this way: those are the people in Lebanon who have some of their money in Bitcoin. They are still able to move their wealth around. They are still able to transact. They are still able to withdraw their money, because Bitcoin is a permissionless network. You can open up a Bitcoin wallet. You don't need any permission. You can transfer Bitcoin anywhere you want, from peer to peer. It's borderless. You don't need permission. You can withdraw. You can use your Bitcoin to transact. You don't need permission. You can sell your Bitcoin. You don't need permission. Now, anything that's happening with the banking system, it would not affect you and your wealth through using it via Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, hands down, is a better form of money, because there is no trust. You don't have to trust anyone and you don't need permission also in order to be able to use it. Now, with the banks, you have to trust them with your money, and you can see what they do to you and how they betray your trust when you most need your money. They put themselves first always, because they don't have the money to give you, and they would put caps, withdrawals, preventions in place, preventing you at a time of economic crisis as well, when you probably need your money the most. And that's what they do. And that's the situation you have when you put your trust in the banks and you trust them with your wealth, the fiat currency system. You need to have your wealth in something that gives you full control over it. And Bitcoin is one thing. There's also stuff like gold and silver. Imagine you had gold in your house and you were Lebanese. You can take that gold and you can use it to transact with. You can while the banks are doing what they're doing, limiting people to $400 a month, you have dollars worth of gold in your account that you can, in your possession, that they don't have control of. Silver as well. Bitcoin is good because that you can transfer it easily. It's hard to transfer gold and silver across borders compared to transferring something like Bitcoin across borders. So this is why it's important to own real money, other forms of money, other forms of wealth other than fiat currency, because in times of crisis, if you're just holding fiat currency, you're going to be screwed. So the country's economic crisis has only deepened since then, as confidence in the banking system founders, businesses close shops or cut back production and workers' hours, and tens of thousands are left jobless. So this is what's happening. People are losing work, and the economic crisis is only getting worse, and people are losing confidence in the banking system. And that's another thing about fiat currency. It's based upon confidence. So long as people have confidence in the system, the fiat currency monetary policy works. But as soon as the confidence starts to shake a little bit and starts to diminish, you start seeing the system crumbling down, because the banks can't give you your money when you all want your money at the same time. So it's a system that's really the foundation, the core of the system is weak and fragile, and it's got so much cracks in it that it's going to crumble one day. It's going to fall apart and be destroyed, and then people who are holding all their wealth in fiat currency are going to be screwed, whereas the people who had their wealth in gold, silver and Bitcoin, they diversified it, they're going to be laughing, because they are the people who are really going to have the real wealth. They are the people who are really going to be okay in times of crisis. Now, somebody in Lebanon who is very wealthy and they can only withdraw $400 a month, they are stuck despite being wealthy. Whereas if they had money in Bitcoin, for instance, they can continue about their business. They can leave the country if they want to. If they've stored their wealth in something that they have full control of, that the banks don't have control of, they can leave Lebanon if they want to. They can continue paying for things and living their life as they are used to, without anyone putting any restrictions on their freedom on how they use their money. So it talks about the Lebanese dollar is actually losing value. I think it's lost 50% of its value, its purchasing power. So people that are holding Lebanese dollars, their purchasing power has dropped by 50%. And that's a huge amount of money. Here it says, but on parallel exchanges, the Lebanese pound lost more than 60% of its value against the dollar this month due to an acute US dollar shortage in the country. So they're also seeing that their purchasing power of the Lebanese pound losing money, and the exchange rate with banks is 1 to 1,500, but the exchange rate on the black market is different. So $1 to 1,500 Lebanese pounds if you're going via the bank, but on the black market, I think it's like $1 for double the amount. So that's what's happening in Lebanon at the moment. On Monday, a notice from Bank Audi, one of the top 3 Lebanese banks, that depositors could withdraw dollars just twice a month. Imagine that, they're telling you that you can only access your money twice a month at an amount based on the size of the depositor's account. It is likely that strict limits on transfers abroad and cash withdrawals in Lebanon will continue for a period of minimum 1.5 years and maximum 5 years if the government starts doing the right things now. That's insane. So they're basically saying that if the government starts doing the right things now, they start fixing their economy, then the banks put in a restriction and prevention on people transferring money would only continue for a period of a minimum of 1.5 years. A minimum of 1.5 years of not being able to transfer your money, or not being able to withdraw your money as and when you want it, and a maximum of 5 years. That's bad. Withdrawal restrictions have led to chaotic scenes at banks as depositors demand to be paid in dollars, something that was previously the norm in a country where the local currency and dollars were used interchangeably. It says Lebanon to default on debt for first time amid financial crisis. So as usual, the government in Lebanon is in debt and they cannot pay back their debt. The country was due to repay a 1.2 euro bond this month, but will seek to restructure its debts. And what happens when they can't pay back their debts? They need to be bailed out, and that's basically just printing free money into existence to loan to the Lebanese government so that they can pump it back into their economy again and try to boost up their economy again. And all it does is it just puts another noose around their neck, because they are in further debt. So later on down the line, they are going to be in an even bigger debt that they're not going to be able to afford to pay. And who's going to suffer? The people, because their recession is going to be so much worse the larger the debt. This is why, guys, it's important, really, really, really important, and I cannot emphasize this enough, that people understand that Bitcoin, gold, silver, these forms of money that are scarce in supply, money that you own, whether physically like gold and silver, or intangibly like Bitcoin, because you own your private keys, you have access to it. It's important that your wealth is in these 3 things. You cannot just have your wealth stored, your life savings stored in fiat currency in the banks. You're going to be screwed over. You should have your money in something that you can control, that you have responsibility over, that the banks cannot manipulate, take charge of, control, prevent you from using, and that's like blockchain technology and Bitcoin. So that's all for now. I just want to really highlight the benefits of Bitcoin, some of the benefits, and one of the main benefits is that not only is it decentralized, which means it cannot be shut down, because there's no single point of failure that anybody could attack to destroy the Bitcoin network, but it's permissionless. Anyone can use it wherever you are, so long as you have an internet connection, and no government can prevent you from using it. No government can prevent you from owning it. No government can prevent you from transacting in it. No government can prevent you from sending it. And it's trustless. You don't have to have trust like you do with the banks, that they're not going to mess up the economy, the government, and that the banks are going to prevent you from getting access to your money. You don't have to trust anyone to be able to transact in Bitcoin or to be able to send Bitcoin. You don't have to trust them to be able to make the transaction happen. And this is why Bitcoin is a superior money. It's just superior. I mean, it's scarce in supply. The fact that Bitcoin is scarce in supply and fiat currency has an unlimited supply, that there and then just shows you which is better. Why would you rather have your wealth in something that the supply is unlimited? It's just being printed into oblivion, compared to something where the circulating supply and the maximum supply is known. The circulating supply is 18 million and the maximum supply is 21 million Bitcoins. I mean, come on. 21 million Bitcoins compared to trillions of just printed money, and that's just continuously being printed. Why would you want to safeguard your wealth in something like that compared to something that is scarce in supply? Something that is permissionless, decentralized, trustless. Okay, that's all for now. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video, and thank you for watching, and have a great day. Goodbye.